Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. And together we are working to connect women in leadership and business, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, mind, soul, and business. We are connecting our heart. Oh man, I almost had it. Sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
I'm so proud of you. She's been trying really hard to get that down and memorize it.
It's hard for my brain to do that.
Mhm.
Like that this is a challenge for my brain, because when we hit that record, we hit that live, I get like a blank slate. So like to have my brain healthy enough that I'm not getting that blank slate, I'm excited. It's really exciting to get to this point. So
we are very pleased to introduce today's guest. She is one with a beautiful soul. She loves to inspire the soul within and has a way with connecting to the spirit in a soft and gentle way. Here to guide us with her vibrant light today is the ever vibrant Devon Battagalia. Did I say that right? Battagalia?
Battagalia, and I loved that introduction. Was so,
Battagalia.
I was like, I didn't write that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. So Devon, this is your second time here with us, and we're very blessed to have you. Let's take a couple of minutes and reintroduce you.
So
go for it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Just hand over the microphone. This is my second time back, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you. And I am Devon Battagalia. I am the founder of Inner Spark, and I work with sensitive, gentle souls to overcome shame and the "there's something wrong with me" story, and the anxiety and the overwhelm and all of that comes along with it, so that they can really thrive in body, mind, and soul. And yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. I have the Healing Feminine Shame podcast, and I love to write, and I'm always outside. If I'm not in front of my computer working, I am out in the dirt and in the sunshine and among the trees.
I love it. I had my fair share of dirt therapy this last weekend, and I so needed that so bad. I got all my plants, all my veggies planted, all my seeds planted in the garden, and I was so exhausted when I was done, but so full of joy. And I felt so much better because I have had a pretty rough personal go the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of big things going on in my personal life, and it's just that dirt therapy just really helped me out. So I'm glad you do that for yourself too. I think it's a great way to do that. But what is on our hearts and minds this week is Satya, truthfulness and sincerity. And we talked a little bit about this before we got on today, but I loved your take on truthfulness and sincerity.
So hopefully I can be as
great
before we hit record, right?
Right.
No, I find it so just the longer that I get the privilege to live, the more in awe of life that I am, right? And how things are always so aligned. And when I was on the first time and we had Nidra, that was so aligned with the conversation we had. And so today, what's really been showing up a lot in my client sessions and also in my own process is this notion of being, who are you really without the stories and the filters of past trauma and of shame and all of the things that brings about. So we have this kind of facade, this person that is who we think we should be, and so that motivates our choices, that dictates our behavior, that really just guides us along our path. And then we find ourselves not being truthful, and all of the things that come along with that, the anxiety, the just constant searching for something because we're not in alignment with who we really are. And so when we can drop that and be who we actually are meant to be, it's really liberating, and it's also really scary. But when we're acting from that place and our choices are motivated by the shame and by the traumas, there's no truth, there's no sincerity, and we suffer. And those around us suffer because they're not getting our realist self, and we're never going to feel really quite fulfilled.
Right. Exactly. Truth bomb.
I'm over here trying not to cry now. That was better than before, just so,
So-
you know.
Thank God.
Just so you know, nobody missed out.
One of the thoughts that I had when you were speaking was, do you think that we lie to ourselves more than we lie to other people? Like, how much do
I
we
totally think
actually
so.
lie to ourselves? I totally think so too, because again, we have that shame. We carry anxiety, depression, all these things with us. But when you get right down to it, the causes of those, it's all in our head, right? It's because we've been dealing with these stories that we are told about ourselves, or that we tell ourselves, or that shame that we feel because for some reason we took that on to ourselves,
Right.
And I think for sure I probably lie to myself more than anything else. I try to be honest and truthful to other people, but am I also being honest and truthful to myself and being my true self and who I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, we totally lie to ourselves more than others. So we have this like inner, I like to call it like our inner checks and balances. So shame is my jam.
I'm really excited and kind of nervous for you to like be here in that space today, because I literally have been working on like identifying when I'm reacting in shame, because I feel like it's really harmful to myself and to those around me when I'm in that. But I don't think that I noticed the shame or felt it before. So it's like this new like identification for me. So I'm like, okay, she said shame again. She said shame too. I'm like, oh, we're going there today. All right. Let's do this. Let's go there.
Well, yeah, I honor that, because it's you're not alone. Like, we are ashamed of shame. We don't talk about shame. It is a very uncomfortable and just yucky and like shape-shifting emotion and state of being. But it's really powerful.
And it feels yucky, right?
Yeah, it does.
But everything I'm hearing about like processing our emotions and that I've been working with and we've been working through is you've got to feel it in order to move through it. So I'm like trying to just let it happen, like let the feels happen so I can move through with the intention that I know that it's going to end, right? Like that I'm not going to be stuck there. I don't have to be stuck there. I have, tools and people to help me if I feel stuck. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And something that I love too, and that I remind myself, is like feelings are not facts, and their emotions are like ocean waves, right? Like they're going to come up and then they're going to go away. You're not going to stay there. It's going to maybe suck and be uncomfortable, especially if it's something that we've like pressed down or avoided and kind of like, just, no, I'll get to you later. It can feel really big and scary. Then next time we come up against it, it's not as big and scary because we've been with it. So sometimes it's like that initial peek behind the curtain is like, oh geez, I don't want to do this. Like, no.
We like walk up to the box on the shelf. No.
No.
Why are you in the middle of the middle of the room again? I put you on the shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some good tools that we can use to not only identify shame, but also move through it?
Yeah. So I love, in staying with the theme of truthfulness and sincerity, I think that we know when we're lying to ourselves. We just have gotten really good at overriding the little voice or the feeling, however that shows up for you when you know that you're lying to yourself. We've gotten really good at overriding it. Kind of like so many of us these days, like when we're overworking, we'll like not get up and pee when we have to pee. It's like, stop overriding your bladder signals to go pee, right? Like I've done this, we've all done this, because it's like, I don't have time, I don't want to. But like you know, right? So
Yeah.
we know. So
Just
just
calling me
getting,
out. Yes.
getting really honest. There's no like sexy magic secret way, like, oh, this is the way to know. It's just being honest with yourself and just noticing. And that takes practice, because like I said, we've gotten really good at overriding the ways that shows up. So when it comes to shame, like I said, it's a shapeshifter. So when we're experiencing things like anxiety or anger or resentment, really when it is like bigger, when a reaction is bigger than like the situation would call for. So like if somebody makes a little remark and you just feel yourself like some emotion is really just bubbling up, that might be something to look at, because it might not fit what's happening. So there's something else there. And so shame can really show up as its pals, like I said, anger, anxiety, resentment. So noticing when and how you feel those things. What emotions that are uncomfortable do you feel most of the time or a lot of the time? And kind of beginning to work with that and investigate it and go deeper and just asking yourself some questions about it. I love to recommend journaling and just really treating the emotion, the state that you're feeling like it's a separate part, a separate person. And so just asking it questions like, what are you? What are you doing here? What do you need from me? What is your purpose? What are you trying to tell me? And additionally, working with the body. So healing doesn't happen in the head, right? Like the head can be great for analyzing and asking and catching ourselves when we're doing something. But if we want to move through something, the energy of these emotions, the discomfort, live from the neck down. So really tuning into like, okay, what does shame feel like in my body? What does this anger feel like? Where do I feel this anxiety? And same thing, just welcoming it to the table, asking it questions, working with it.
Yes. And I find that, really that deep digging into myself happens best in the stillness. So like when I'm meditating or in the morning when I wake up and I'm still kind of laying in bed a little bit. And
Before our brains are hijacked, right?
In the shower.
Before our thoughts get stolen by somewhere else and taken away.
Yep.
Like shower thoughts, yeah.
Right? Shower thoughts, right?
When you talk about it being in the body, I know that a lot of my trauma is in like my lower legs, like it's like as far away from my brain as I can get it, right? So if I'm having trouble walking or my leg is like really bad, I'll think about like, did we have a big conversation and I didn't realize, or did I realize that we had a big conversation? We had, I don't know, about a month ago, we had a huge conversation, multi-generational conversation in our family around sexual trauma and from childhood. And that next week, my left leg like would not leg like it hurt, and then Charlie caught me talking to my leg. I was like just talking to myself like, we're okay, we're safe. I was just trying to like get
she was like
the energy to move. I was like, I
knew.
Good.
I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm working with my feet.
Working with my heels. Right. Like, I am safe now. We are safe. This is great that we're talking about these things and that we're being open and honest and we're actually talking about them instead of holding them in and pushing them away. So when you talk about that it really does show up in different ways in your body, and you only you can know that, like where it is or what's happening.
Yeah. That's so powerful. I love that you did that. Just the like the tactile connection, the touching, the petting ties in with the rub down. We can do that for ourselves too. Like being with that energy. And I love how you had the self-awareness to notice. You had the big conversation. The body reacted because it all lives in the body. Like you said, it's all right here. And
we hold our issues in our tissues.
Totally. And even if it wasn't like a big conversation, because like I heard you say you checked in with yourself, like what has happened? Has there been a big conversation or a big event? Sometimes it's not from the present. Sometimes it's something from the present holds a particular frequency or similarity of the original thing in the past. And so our beautiful survival reptilian brains are like on the lookout for that. And shame is an evolutionary thing. We evolved with it. It is for our survival. When we recognize that something is a barrier towards our sense of safety and connection and contentment, we experience shame. And so it's really that like simple. And then the rest of it is whatever was associated with that, what impacts it had, how we were affected, how our sense of safety was actually threatened. But when we can kind of start to look at it as like, okay, how did I perceive my sense of connection and belonging to be threatened, and start to kind of evaluate it from there, then we can kind of unravel the conclusions that we drew about ourselves, like, oh, well, somebody like me doesn't deserve to have a good mother, right? That was like a big part of my story that I've overcome, is like, if my own mother couldn't love me and show up for me and choose her children over pills and alcohol, then I'm not somebody who's worth loving. I'm defective. There's something wrong with me, right? And so we can kind of back away, like, no.
And how many of us have gotten that
actually
story, right? Like,
with me, I don't need to draw a conclusion about myself. I can untie from that.
Yeah.
Your internet just blocked, just buffered. I don't know what you just said, but I really want to hear it.
I was saying, how many of us have gotten that story too? Because there's a lot of us, I would say, that especially around Mother's Day feel that shame, because we're like, well, my mom didn't mom me, right? Like there's this weird, I guess it's shame, right? Like that we feel uncomfortable and we like we don't belong at Mother's Day because of,
Or for me, Mother's Day is always super hard because when I lost my son to anencephaly, I was 22 weeks pregnant with him, and it was Mother's Day weekend when I had to deliver him, May 9th. Yeah. So that day feels very icky to me because I carry some shame from what I had to go through in having to make that hard choice because he had a defect to end the suffering and move forward in the best way I knew how. I carry shame for that. And then Mother's Day is a constantly reminder of that shame for more reasons than one, and I know that there's other women out there who are going through similar feelings, and what I am working with within myself is that there was nothing that I did to cause that to happen. It's just something that happened to me.
It's not a fault
to my child. It is not a fault or blame that is mine. It is something that happened to me and to the, I don't know, for whatever reason, the cells didn't do 100% of their job, right? And then I was forced with this really, really hard decision. And so and the way that looks, in society, the way that looks for my own personal beliefs at the time and everything else, I still carry that with me. And it's been 15 years, and that is not the kind of shame that we need to carry with us. anymore. So for those of you that might be listening today that have gone through something that you've had to make those hard choices because you weren't faced with any other option, I hear you. It is not a shame that you have to carry with you anymore, because you shouldn't be ashamed of things just not turning out the way that you think they should have.
Right.
Mm. Mm.
You good? I'm good. I'm good. So anyway.
Powerful. So powerful. So powerful.
So we talked a little bit about journaling, and I want to say that journaling doesn't have to be necessarily words. I was watching something on YouTube, because I like to YouTube, right? Get lost on a rabbit hole, about using an art technique to kind of meditate. So you're actively doing something, but while you're doing it, you're thinking about your emotions in it. So you make circles on the page and you draw some squiggly lines. And then any place the lines cross, you round out the corners. And then after you've rounded out the corners, whatever emotion you're feeling, those are the colors you're going to use. So you're using colors to kind of get it out on the paper of what you're feeling, or, because sometimes when you're doing this process, you just don't have the words to journal it, right? Like there's if you really shoved it down there, really put it into the big toe, right? Like you got to pull that back up to get it into the, to get there. So it gives you an activity to do, and you can do it in a journal format, like in journaling and giving yourself that quiet time and peacefulness, and in just a little different way.
I like that color idea, like, using different colors to express kind of different kinds of emotions. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is really awesome. I use a lot of expressive arts tools and movement embodiment tools with my clients, and that sounds like it was of your left leg when it was bothering you, creating an image of all just different ways of tapping in. And I think it's helpful to know your tendencies, right? Like we're all different kinds of learners. We're either, tactile or auditory or whatever. And I think different ways of tapping into our experience work better for different people also. Sometimes words, sometimes image, sometimes movement, sometimes all three. Yeah,
absolutely. And a lot of the ways that we can deal with those feelings and emotions and overcoming these things is through our senses. And I know we've kind of touched on that quite a few times. Smells can bring back memories. That smell is like the biggest memory trigger.
That's why mom, like, the mom's cooking or grandma's kitchen smells like,
Yeah. Or, when you say it smells like home, everybody's smell like home smells different. Right. But it brings back those memories of, good times and bad. You can smell like, let's say you were traumatized. Let's say you were traumatized in the military or something. And now when you smell sulfur or fuel, it brings back those memories. Because I know for me on the aircraft carrier, jet fuel has a very specific smell, and aircraft carriers always smell like jet fuel, grease, and dirt. Like it smells like a bad mechanic shop. And BO. So we do not smell pretty when we get back, by the way. Showers are a thing. But using those sensory things to help work through those issues that we hold in our tissues, and then also body movement are also great tools to work with.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's what I love about our guests. We're always bringing new tools for our toolboxes and
Speaking from the heart and loving.
Yeah.
So, Devon, we have had yet another amazing conversation with you. We love having you and are so blessed by your presence with us here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for this just rich conversation. My heart feels very happy.
I am very full. Like
Mhm.
my heart is very full today. So thank you. Our quotes this week: the least initial deviation from the truth is multiplied later 1,000-fold. Aristotle.
I think that is important when as we're talking to ourselves. Like I think that I mean that quote, like we've talked about it like in generalizing, but we haven't talked about it in connecting to ourselves. And if we are even just slightly off, if we've just told ourselves a little bit of a lie,
Yeah.
wow,
Yep. Mhm.
like it just, now we're having anxiety. Wow. you know
Our mindset quote this week is: your body is precious. It is our vehicle for awakening. Treat it with care, which is exactly everything we talked about today. And that quote is from Buddha. Right. We have another amazing guest scheduled for you guys on Friday. We have Sheila coming in studio on Friday.
crafty
I'm
old soul. It's
Yep.
a great Friday before
the
what
Mother's
was
Day.
that? Not Mother's Day. Adult Who Loves Us Day.
Adults Who Love Us Day. There we
Adults Who
go.
Love Us Day.
Yeah, so we'll have Sheila from Crafty Old Soul here on Friday with us, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. And then we have so many cool, awesome things going on. You got to check out the website. It's www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com. That's where you will find everything, all the information, links, blogs,
Community calendar.
community calendar,
Join the newsletter. Like
All-
there's all the things.
all the amazing things. Go check out the website. It's all there. And please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And we hear that Facebook is going to be doing away with that accessibility on Facebook. So if you need help finding another platform, reach out to us, let us know. And we will help you figure it out. So
Again, Devon, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
and to our listeners, thank you again for joining us today. We love you all. Namaste.